Hello everyone, this is Esther Nyonje and welcome to Kenya Explained once again. Today I am joined by Mr.Elvis Wambura, who is MCA candidate for Migori County, Masaba ward. Today he'll be speaking to us about a few things and I'm happy to have you here. How are you, Mr. Wambura?
Thank you, Esther, and thank you for having me in your show.
Okay.
And let me first of all congratulate you for the step that you've taken and for the work that you are doing and giving an opportunity for people to just talk generally about what is happening, the current trends and everything that is going around in the country.
Congratulations on the work you're doing also, because I see he's doing a lot of things. You're doing a lot of things on the ground, and yes, all the best to you.
Thank you so much.
Yes. So I have a few questions for you and I would want you to educate us or give us your opinion, tell us what you think about these things. The first thing that I'm going to ask you is about the election financial regulations, because recently the CS of Interior, Dr. Fred Matiang'i, cited that we could get to a place as Kenyans where we are choosing wash leaders. And then the IEBC came in and cited something like there should be a cap on financial regulations on elections. That is, the amount of money politicians are using on their campaigns should be regulated. So what's your general view about this as a politician on the ground, and you can enlighten us on everything and how you think the money should be spent on your campaigns?
Okay, financial regulation is a policy or a law that came into place in 2013 under the Election Financing Act of 2013, which was supposed to give guidelines on how politicians and just general political parties are supposed to spend in as far as campaigns are considered. But fast forward, since 2013, I think in 2013 it was pushed to 2017. Later in 2017, it was again pushed forward into 2022. And if you remember, on August 9th last year in 2021, IBC had already put in place some of the caps that various positions or candidates were supposed to reach. For example, they had put a cap of around 4.4 billion for presidents.
Yes.
But unfortunately, again, through Parliament, this was again, the law was again pushed forward. And therefore, IBC revoked all the campaign regulations that it had put in place. And therefore, politicians are allowed to spend again as much as they can, during these elections, which is very unfortunate because yes, we agree that we cannot run politics without resources, and that happens all over the world. Actually, money is like mother's milk in politics. That is that was said by an American politician. But again, I think there's need for regulation, which as a country is very unfortunate that we've not been able to implement these since 2013. This has again been pushed to 2027. That will mean that we'll have 14 years since the Election Campaign Financing Act was passed in 2013 to 2027 for its implementation, which we are not again sure whether it will be implemented. What this is denying Kenyans is an opportunity to have objective politics.
That's true.
And so when money comes in and looking at everything, sometimes some of these things may be overlooked. Objectivity in politics might be overlooked because as Kenyans we are seasoned just to understand that in every election year we are just expecting politicians to come around and give out money, which then becomes an advantage to those that are mostly incumbents, and this leads to political monopolization, which is not a good thing. And therefore I think this is a place we are failing in, and I wish that as a country we could emulate other countries like Brazil, where there are heavy penalties, for example, around campaign financing. They have regulations whereby there are places where you might not even be able to run for up to 8 years if you are engaged in some kind of unknown dealings during your political campaigns. And therefore, this is something that, as a country, I feel that we are still taking too long to have this implemented, and it is denying the Kenyans an opportunity to elect leaders based on the objectivities and the agenda that they have, but otherwise go ahead and vote based on how much does this one have, how much does this other one have, So this becomes then a competition of the rich or those who have and those who do not have, which then puts those who do not have at a disadvantage. And I'm pretty sure that you've seen a lot of people shying away from politics.
Yes.
Just citing that politics is an expensive.
Because of lack of resources?
Yeah, there's lack of resources, because then it has been portrayed as a very expensive affair. Okay. And these are disadvantages even more the young people who are trying to rise up, who have not been there to just ensure that maybe they have enough resources to finance a campaign. Yes. And so it has become a very big disadvantage, and I've seen so many young people shying away from running for various political office because they feel they do not have the capacity to run a political campaign.
All right, fair. That's excellent. So do you think it is quite hypocritical for the CS of Interior to cite that the politicians who are going into politics because of the money they have? And he cited that there's the wash generation, because at this point you've heard of wash is a concern here. So if the CS of Interior is citing about wash and he is the CS, do you think it's a hypocritical thing, because he should be going out for these people who he thinks we are going to elect as politicians, because we do not want politicians like that?
What I honestly think is just because the Election Financing Act of 2013 clearly stipulates a lot of things and gives the IBC the mandate on how they should control and regulate election financing. And so I think the only gap that we have is just the implementation, because IBC came up with regulations that it read out on August of 9th, 2021. But this did not go through the Parliament, and therefore all the regulations that had been put in place were revoked in that case, and so pushed forward again to 2027. So I think what we just need is a political goodwill that will allow implementation of this Election Campaigning Financing Act and the regulations as per IBC as they guide. That will just enable us sort out all these that we are having and what we are seeing in the country. Okay,
well said. As passionate as you are, I hope once you get there, I will hear you pushing for that.
Hopefully if I get into the National Assembly, because this is a mandate of the National Assembly. Yes. And the moment I'm running for the County Assembly position.
But so in the long run?
In the long run, I hope that this will be implemented and therefore give room for Kenyans to elect leaders based on what they are and the agenda they have for the people.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And then on to our second question is, we've had the nomination process. You were not lucky, you were, what should I say?
I deserved.
You deserved it? Well said. You deserve the position, and that could be you, but there are so many youth who tried to vie for different positions, and they were denied. They were denied the opportunity at this level, at the nomination level. Recently we saw Bahati cry about it, and then he was also given the candidature later. And so that could be Bahati, that could be you who got the nomination, but how many youth are there inside the villages and where we don't know, that we think that they might have been denied the candidature for the nomination? And with my research and hearing and all, many youth aspirants have been crying out, saying that, oh, these tickets are being given to all the people. So the question is, do you think the youth have been fairly considered in the nomination processes?
Okay,
with
thank you.
All the political parties?
Thank you for that question. I'll first of all start by congratulating my party, ANC, for their nomination process. I think amongst all the other parties, I think ANC is one of the parties that didn't have so many people going, of course, to complain about the nomination processes. And of course, I know it can't be 100%, but of course, I know to a large extent, ANC party conducted its nominations in the fairmost way possible that it could. And so this also gave a chance to a number of young people, some of them who I know, who are able to then proceed into the next level, which is the August 9 general election. That said, I also have to admit that a lot of young people have not been happy about the general nomination processes. across a number of parties that are there. We've seen so many, and you've cited one of them who had to cry to get their certificate given. And this is most because I think young people have not still been given that chance, that good chance in the political parties. And a lot of them have gone out, and even after the nomination processes, gone their own way, and most of them are running independent, or they have sought other means to ensure that they reach the general election in August 9. But I think the nomination processes is some other place that there is a big gap that needs to be looked at. I think letting parties alone conduct these nomination processes should, I don't think it's good enough to allow that transparency and openness. So I would propose strongly that even when parties are in charge of the nomination processes, then the IBC should also have a very central role in ensuring that they monitor how these party nominations are conducted. Because there's a lot of foreplay that most people have cited in various parts. And young people have been most affected.
That's true.
We've had stories of young people complaining about even extortion, being denied tickets because they maybe do not have the resources to buy the tickets in some places. And so it's something that is worrisome, because then a lot of young people have had their journey end at the nomination process. And so it's a disadvantage to young people, many of whom had come out and many of whom had wanted to really go into this election and show what they got, because I believe that a lot of young people have the ability, have the will and the urge to do something great for this country, because as it's normally said, the young people are the trustees of any country's or nation's prosperity. And therefore, I think young people have been disadvantaged in the nomination processes. First of all, the issue of resources is also coming here. Because to be nominated in a party, there's a lot of things you need to pay for. You have to, first of all, register, and in that case, register as a life member of some of the parties, and that always varies depending on which party you're going to. Then there comes again the nomination fees. The nomination fees again comes in play that you have to pay. And you see, it depends again with the position that you are running for. And so different positions have different amounts that you'll have to pay. The only advantage they give young people is that you'll have to pay maybe half or 3/4 of the amount, that the general amount that is supposed to be paid. But I still feel there are some positions that amount is still too high for a normal young Kenyan who has just finished school maybe. To raise even 100,000 to pay for a party nomination, that can be a tall order. And therefore, I think there should be consideration that in future, young people, if possible, should even be given a chance to go and contest free of charge without paying the nomination fees. Because that, I think, is something that can now give room for a lot of young people to come in and contest at the party nomination levels, and then, of course, transit to the election, which is the general elections. Yes.
That is so much knowledge. There's so much I didn't know. Now I know. The whole country has been waiting, for the choice of a running mate for both Azimio la Umoja and Kenya Kwanza. And today, since yesterday, the whole country has been waiting to hear Kenya Kwanza's deputy president candidate. So this brings me to this thought that I'd like us to discuss about, that when first of all, do you think a running mate determines or plays a part in whether this person is going to be voted in as a presidential candidate or not? And also, when this person has already been chosen, what do you think are the factors that are considered when someone is choosing his running mate? And with that, I'd like you to cite what you think about the relationship of a president and his deputy president, because we have seen what's happening in the country right now with the president and his deputy president. So to start with, what do you think are the factors that should be considered when a president is choosing his running mate?
Okay, thank you for that. And before I answer your question, I would first of all want to congratulate the Honorable Rigathi Gachagua for having been chosen as the running mate for Kenya Kwanza coalition,
yes.
which is a coalition I belong to. And so I want to also congratulate the whole team and the entire team of the Kenya Kwanza coalition for arriving at that decision. And that is a decision that as Kenya Kwanza we fully support. And now going back to your question, the choice of a running mate is a very critical one. The running mate ultimately becomes the deputy president if the presidential candidate wins the election.
Yes.
And therefore, according to the constitution, the deputy president becomes the principal assistant of the president when they are elected. And so it's a very critical choice to make. Just like you would choose your wife or your husband. You'd want to choose someone whom you'll work with, someone whom you relate with well, and someone who shares in your vision and aspirations. And therefore, I think the point to where you have to choose a running mate is a point where you have to sit down and look back and see, do you share ideologies? This now brings us back to politics, away from marital affairs. Do you share an ideology with this person?
Yes.
Is he someone that carries the weight that you have or the agenda that you have for the country? And so I think that is largely what a presidential candidate looks out for in a running mate. To just ensure that this is someone whom, in case there is anything, this is someone you can always look out to and even trust in case there is anything that needs to be done, because the president has a lot of work to do. And therefore, there's even a lot of delegation that happens. And so a running mate should be someone that I think we first of all have to relate with and share a vision with. So that is what largely, in my opinion, will determine the kind of running mate you choose. I
agree with that, but you understand politics is dynamic. And you saw what happened in 2013 and in 2017 also. The deputy president, Honorable William Ruto, has been supporting the president, Uhuru Kenyatta. He supported him in 2013 and also in 2017. So maybe at that time, there's a time they were putting on the matching shirts and everything, and they were in coordination. But I don't know what happened at this time. We have a cold war between the president and his deputy, and you can agree with me that at that point they had the same vision. And then I don't know what happened. I don't know what politics played in, and now we have this situation. So how do you explain that?
Okay, I think in any marriage there's bound to be disagreement sometimes. But what I can confidently say, and citing from the words of even the deputy president himself, is that I think there has been a working relation, which is expected, of course, according to the constitution.
Yes.
And you see, according to the constitution, the deputy president is only supposed to serve as a principal assistant to the president, and therefore his duties and mandates are more of delegated. And so, as far as that is concerned, I think that has been observed over time, and I think it got to a point where maybe this mandate was given to some other people, which is still okay, because the president has the right to give mandate to any other person in his government whom they deem could do them in any other way. Sometimes, if you feel that this is the place that you don't feel very comfortable based on what you are looking forward to, you see, the deputy president has been very keen on, for example, the Big Four agenda, and you've heard him cite that these are some of the core issues that the Jubilee government had put in place for the 2017-2022 election. But when the deputy president felt that this was being evaded and something else came into play, then I think there is always a chance to have some disagreement, which does not mean that then the relationship is over.
Yes.
That just means you differ in opinion,
yes,
which is allowed.
But we would not like to see a case of that. We would like to see coordination between the president and his deputy, because it's a sorry state that our president right now is not getting along with his deputy president. And in my opinion, I would like to say that maybe it's when the politics came in, and maybe there were other parties that had more interests than what was there before, and now they had to choose. They found themselves choosing sides, and then now that came in. So that is, I would say, it is it's a politics factor.
I can't confidently say that they are not getting along, because
but you've seen the cold words they throw at each other, and then President Uhuru on a national podium says, "Oh, this person," and then the president goes to Twitter and says, "Oh, my boss, I was here." So it is really a cold war. And then recently we had the cabinet meeting where he was meeting the cabinet ministers, and as much as we know, there was some tension in between. And you see, this is the president and this is the deputy president, and then we don't expect them at this time to have that war, because anything might happen at this time. The president might leave the country and the deputy is in charge. So what do we expect of these leaders when they are there and showing us these games?
Okay, constitutionally, I think their mandate and their roles are still as they are. And just as you've cited recently, if there was anything, the cabinet meeting that was called by the president, if there was any extreme bad blood between the two, then the deputy president could not have attended this. But as you've rightly put, the deputy president attended because this is a function that had been called by the president.
Yes.
And therefore, I think as far as their constitutional roles and their mandates are concerned, yes, you've seen the deputy president in national functions still taking up his role in all these functions. Okay. And therefore, where there has been a duty assigned to the deputy president, I think he has been able to do as per the constitution.
All right.
And therefore, the other issues here and there could be more personal, which is now outside the scope of what we really know, because that is now more personal, and I don't think there's anyone who really understands what it is in between these two.
Yes.
Thank you.
Well said. And I also asked this about, do you really think that the choice of a deputy president determines whether this person is going to has more chances of winning the election or not? Because I feel like before the deputy president elected chose his running mate as Rigathi Gachagua, I feel he still had the popularity, or maybe the Right Honorable Amolo Odinga already has the popularity before they even choose their running mates. You see, because we had them campaign before they choose their running mates. So do you think at this point where they have to choose their running mates, it might change everything about the likability of being elected in?
Well, I think first of all, under this new constitution, you are supposed to be elected as a duo, and therefore, unlike before where the president was voted in as a single candidate, in this new constitution 2010, I think it gives the guideline that a president, a governor
has to choose
their running mates, and this has to be made public, and therefore they are elected on a joint ticket.
Yes.
And therefore, in a big way, I think the running mate issue as well is a great determinant in terms of just ensuring that then you boost your clout, because I know the choice of a running mate is also informed by a lot of other things beyond their capabilities. There are so many other factors that come into play that I think any presidential candidate has to put in place in as far as choosing their running mate is concerned. So it is a choice that you have to make, and I know after the announcements today, Kenya Kwanza has already done the announcement. We are expecting Azimio to also make the announcement, and so we will expect to see some political conversations across the country. And of course, there are those that will feel maybe we deserved to be there.
Yes.
There are those that will feel maybe this team didn't deserve to be there. But of course, at the end of the day, what we are calling for is that the choice of running mate is something that does not just happen overnight.
Yes.
It's something that takes a while. And so when a presidential candidate settles on one, then there's a lot of consideration that has been done. And so it's to call on our supporters, and especially Kenya Kwanza, to support our choice of running mate and support the entire Kenya Kwanza candidates at the level of presidency based on the choice that has been made.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Okay, so as we come to a close, I would like you are very insightful. I like the depth of your knowledge about Kenyan politics, and I can confidently say that I am happy. I am happy that young people like you are coming up into taking leadership positions in this country. As you said, many youth are shying away from this because of certain reasons, but you've braved the storm and come out. So I'm wishing you all the best, and I would like you to inform us about your vision as an aspiring leader in Kenya, in your ward, where you aspire to be in the next 3 months, 2 months, and also your long-term vision as a leader when you get into this role as a member of county assembly. From there, what are you aspiring for your ward? What are you aspiring for Kenya as a large, and what is your blueprint in your blueprint and your vision for Kenya's leadership and governance?
Okay, thank you for that. Maybe just to start by just saying that Elvis Wambura has not started engaging in politics now.
That's true.
From, I think, way back from primary school, I've had the privilege of serving.
School. I was about to say campus.
I had a privilege of serving from that young age in primary school. Of course, coming into high school again, I had an opportunity to serve as the school captain for 2 years at St. Pius Boys High School in Migori County. Fast forward again into campus in Maseno University, where we were. I got an opportunity to serve again as a student leader for 1 year on matters health, environment, and catering.
Yes.
And so this is something that has just not been born in me today. This is something that has been that came into me from long back. And so this is a conversation, the conversation about equality, the conversation about giving everyone an equal opportunity is a conversation that I've always been passionate about. And therefore, even into this election, what informed my decision to run for member of county assembly Masaba ward is my passion for social advancement and transformation. We know social goods are the most critical components in any society.
Yes.
When you look at things like water, roads, these are things that are critical to any individual. And these are areas that I'm looking at, the area of health, the area of agriculture. We know that a lot of our people, and for example, for instance, in Masaba ward, it is a community, my community is largely practices agriculture as their source of livelihood. And so there's need to empower these farmers. There's need for value addition at that level. And I'm happy that already in my ward, there's a factory that is supposed to be processing sweet potatoes, which is a step ahead, because then there's a lot of our mothers, our fathers who are engaging in farming, and over a long period of time, they have been lacking the returns out of what they are doing. When you look at a mother going into the shamba very early in the morning, getting their outcomes from the farms, then later on lacking a good avenue to market their produce and even to sell, then it becomes a loss when they go into the markets and sell their produce at a very low price. This does not make a lot for them. And so the issue of value addition, and I'm glad that there's a factory that is just opened up not so long ago, which will be very critical in ensuring that we create that value addition and then give these farmers a place to go and sell their produce and make as much out of their investment in farming. When you look at health, for example, it's a very critical component. You know, only a healthy nation can work.
Yes.
And if you're not healthy, and when there's a problem in this system, in the health sector, then there's a lot that is deemed to be done. The area of water is life, and this we've been taught for a long time, and we still have a big gap in ensuring that our women, our homes, our children have clean water that will sustain their activities, that they will drink, that they will use to do their businesses. And even looking at the current world that we are in, where we have tremendous climate change, even our farming has been greatly affected, because now you can't really predict when you are going to have the rains. And so if we have a scenario whereby we have running water, our farmers can be able to do irrigation. When there's no rain, they can still be able to do the irrigation and continue with their farms. So the social advancement is a strong pillar that I'm looking at. Roads open up our society, and roads bring development. And so there's a chance to still open up our ward into an extent that it will give room for each and every person. A person living in areas like Gikamiri that I know that have had a problem in accessing certain parts of the ward when it's rainy. People living in places like Romaboba, which I know that have a problem in moving when there's rain. People living in various parts, Nyamararangere, Nyawaitanchiri, and all the other parts of the country, of the ward I mean, Kombe up there. There's so much that needs to be done to just ensure that we open up our ward so that then development can get into that area. So those are some of the reasons that I'm really passionate about, and these are things that I stand up for, and these are things that I really hope that if given a chance, these are my priority areas that I will look keenly into and ensure that we are able to gradually move into the direction that will give everyone a chance to stand up for themselves, to do their own things and get out of what they are doing the best they can. And above that, it's the vision that I have, even for the country, that we shall get into a point where Kenya will have, all Kenyans, all citizens will have a chance, and that does not limit anyone of all ages, of all gender, of all creeds, of all races will have an opportunity to develop and realize their full potential in all other spheres, including politics, social, and even economic. That is a Kenya that I would really love to stay in, and that is an area that we look up to developing from that small unit, which is the ward level, upwards into the national.
Great. So at the moment you are vying for an MCA position at your ward in Masaba. What's your ultimate goal in Kenyan politics? Do you desire to rise above the ranks and even be president one day?
Okay, thank you for that. I think my focus now is to serve the people of Masaba ward.
Okay.
And I think why I need to do that is because I want to understand the issues from that level.
Okay.
Because
at the grassroots level,
the ward is the smallest unit that there can be in terms of our political landscape, and therefore my wish is to first of all understand the real thing from that level, and then given a chance, of course, I'm an ambitious young Kenyan who would not mind to serve in future in whatever capacity that God would give me to serve. Thank you.
Amen to that. Amen to that. So I also feel like the grassroots level, the MCA level, will expose you to the nitty-gritties of what would be expected of you if you were to ever get in a higher position. You agree with me?
Yes, I agree with you, because I think what the MCA level gives you a chance to do is to interact as much with the locals at that grassroots level. Even at the moment, I think there's a lot that I'm learning from the people at the grassroots. I've been engaging people across my ward. I have 7 sublocations in my ward, and I've been engaging people across all the 7 sublocations. And the MCA position gives you then that chance to be very specific to the sublocation level, to the village level, and even to the polling station level. That means that it gives you an opportunity to go deep down, unlike the other positions, say maybe the member of parliament, which you have a bigger scope of area. Therefore, that means you don't have the chance to get into the people at the grassroots level. And so I think the position has given me a chance to, first of all, interact at that grassroots level, and given me an opportunity to interact more with people than maybe any other higher position would give me. So it gives an advantage to understand the real issues kwa ground. Zile vitu wanasema vitu kwa ground, because of that closeness to people and because of that scope of area that you are working on.
What are the roles of a member of county assembly in Kenya?
Okay, the roles of a member of county assembly are not far from the roles of a member of national assembly. They have similar roles, only the area is different. First of all, the very, very principal role of a member of county assembly is legislation at the county level.
Yes.
And therefore, the members of county assemblies legislate on issues on policy on issues generally at the county level that are supposed to guide how the county government then works for the people. The other role is representation. Of course, that means you are a representative of the people at the county assembly, at the county level, and then of course oversighting the county government and what the county government does. So those are basically the three roles of a member of county assembly.
Do you feel you're ready for those roles? What different are you going to do that maybe your predecessor did not do?
First of all, I would like to really congratulate the predecessor. First of all, for taking a bold step to get out of the comfort of serving as a member of county assembly and challenging himself to run for the position of member of parliament, and I wish him well.
Okay.
And just to say that already the foundation is laid. A lot of things have been done. I know that we've done health facilities in 6 out of 7 sublocations that needs to just be upgraded and improved to ensure that then they are able to meet the needs of the people. I know there's still a shortage of drugs, for example, in some of these health facilities, and this is an area we would like to work through the county government to ensure that then the people receive drugs when they go into these hospitals. I know that there's also some ECD centers that have been put in place across the ward. These are areas that we need to advance to ensure that then we are able to have them develop into ECD centers that then can allow young children, those that are of young ages, to go into a nearby ECD and gain knowledge, because the foundation of a kid is very critical. I know there are markets that have been constructed in some of the parts, some of the centers in the world, but I know there are so many other centers. Nyanchabo market does not have a market for, Getonganya does not have a market, Nyamagagana does not have a market. There are so many other centers that do not have markets, that that denies our women a chance to do their business comfortably and reap out of it. And so this is an area also we still want to look at. The area of distribution of water, I think that is something I've mentioned here. The area of value addition in agriculture, that is an area also we want to critically look at. And the area of opening up the ward through ensuring that we upgrade the roads and connections that connect our different villages in the ward. That is an area also I would be very keen to ensure that then this is achieved. And one thing that I can say is that having worked with young members of parliament at the secretariat level, there's a wide experience that I've already gotten in terms of doing this work. As I mentioned to you, there's no big difference between a member of parliament and a member of county assembly. And for around 2 years, I've gotten a chance to work with young members of parliament under the Kenya Young Parliamentarians Association, which is chaired by the Senator for Nairobi, Senator Sakaja. Okay. And so over time, I think there's a lot that I've learned, and there's a lot that young elected leaders are doing in this country. The KYPA, for example, has well over 50 members of parliament at the national level that are drawn both from the Senate and the National Assembly, and we've been able to see a lot of work that has been done. We have young members of county assemblies, over 1,000, who are young, who are doing so much great work at their level. And so there's a wide experience that I've gotten having worked with these leaders at that level. And so it's not a matter of going to try, it's a matter of going and doing it the right way.
All right. That's great. So winding up, I would like you to give your message to the public during this election period, and even give a message to the members of your ward. What would you like to tell them?
Okay, first of all, I think I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity again to interact with you and interact with the other Kenyans that I know will go through this when given a chance. And my call to all Kenyans is that let us make this election an objective election, make this an agenda-based election. Let us elect leaders based on their abilities and based on the agenda that they intend to do for our country. Let us look beyond every other thing, every odd, because as they normally say, no one chooses where they are supposed to be born. And therefore, let us not make this a competition of tribes. Let us not make this a competition of resources. Let us not make this a competition of class, but let us make this a competition of ideas and agenda that we intend to do for the Kenyans, and let us get elected based on the issues and the agenda that we have. And I will also want to thank the people of Masaba ward for believing in me thus far. There is overwhelming support that I'm receiving from the people from across the sublocation and the entire ward, and I really want to thank them and just to ask them that let us continue listening to the leaders that are coming on board, and let us make a choice based on the ideas, based on the agenda that these leaders have for the people of Masaba ward. Let us look beyond clanism. Let us look beyond wealth. Let us look beyond all the other factors that might not be very necessary, because this is a competition of that we intend to take to the county assembly. This is a competition where we intend to get one leader that will go and represent the interest of the people of Masaba ward at the county level and bring as much home and bring as much to the people at the grassroots level. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Wambura. As you have seen, he's objective, he's young, he's visionary, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
And thank you so much. Thank you so much for watching this. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this YouTube channel. Until next time, bye-bye.